How would you feel after spending so much time, energy, and money to develop what you think is going to be an amazing product, just to find out nobody is willing to buy? Very frustrating, right? That's why today I'm spending the time to show you how to actually get customers using social media before you actually start building your product or your service to save yourself time and money. Before you even start developing the product or the service that you have in mind, first of all, you are going to use social media to find customers who are ready to pay for your product or your service before you even spend money doing it. Social media has made this so easy. But before you can find your customer, you have to know who your customer is. The first step is to clearly define the target customer. When you say target customer, it's not like general. If you think everybody is going to be your customer, then I promise you, no one is going to be your customer. So you have to be clear as possible who you are making this product for. A product or a service is made to solve a problem. So you need to know who faces that problem and what the problem is. For example, if you are developing an education software and you say, well, my target customers are parents who have their children in school, you may think that is detailed. No, that's not detailed enough. Because there are so many categories of parents who have their children in school. It could be that busy working parents who don't have time to help their children learn at home. It could also be that parents who don't have the money to hire extra class teachers for their children at home. It could be that parents whose children are not doing so well in school. So you have to be specific about who you are making the product for and what the person is going to buy the service or the product for. Because a product or a service is hired to solve a problem. Your product or your service is going to be hired by the customer to do or to solve a problem, to do something that they have to do. Your product or your service is just going to help them do that task. And to be able to know exactly who your customer is, you have to be detailed enough. Think of it as sending somebody to go out there and look for your customer for you. The more detail you can provide, the better and easier it will be for that person to find a customer. Of course, in these modern days, you hardly have to send another human being. You are definitely going to send a digital human being, which is in the form of advertising campaign. However, the detail you can specify who you are targeting in terms of where they live, what they believe in, what they want to achieve, how much money they have to spend on this problem or this solution. The detail you can go, the easier it will be for whatever social media platform we are going to use today. You have to be as specific as possible about their age, their job title, the kind of work they do, and a whole lot. Then after that, what problem do they face? How are they trying to solve the problem? In fact, the easiest problem that you can sell to a customer is a problem that, number one, the customer has realized that they have that problem, and number two, they are actually trying to solve it. Because if they don't realize that they have the problem, you have to then educate them about the problem before you educate them about the solution. But if they are already aware of the problem, then you can skip that step because the customers already know that this is a problem. And if they are actively looking for solution or trying to come up with a smart way to solve it all by themselves, very good. Simple, because now it becomes much easier to convince them to buy your product or your service. Simple, because they've realized this is a problem and they've also realized it needs to be solved. That's why they are trying to solve it. But if you see a problem that the customers don't see it as a problem, or they see it as a problem but they don't care much about it because they are not trying to solve it, then your life is going to be a little harder. Therefore, look for a problem that the customers first of all know they have, and secondly, that they are trying to come up with a solution by themselves. Sometimes they even have a solution, but the solution is not good enough. That's why you are coming up with something much better. Not a little bit better, something that's 10 or 20 times better than what they are actually working with. That's the first step. Clearly define a customer that you are trying to help. After clearly defining your customer, the next task for you is to find out which social media are they currently spending time on. Market women are busy on TikTok watching funny videos. Corporate people are on LinkedIn. So ask yourself, based on the product or service that you are trying to develop, where can you find these customers? It could be LinkedIn, it could be TikTok, it could be Facebook, it could be Google. Try to brainstorm to find which platform you can find them, because that's the next step. And don't focus on all the platforms. Of course, you can see some people who spend a little time on Facebook, a little time on TikTok, a little on YouTube. but you are going to focus on only one channel at a time, because at this stage, you don't want to spend so much money. We even don't want to develop the product or the service at this stage. No, we only want to understand what the customer problem is and come up with a solution that they will willing to buy and actually get buyers before we even start building the product. So at this point, all you care about is, where are my target customers spending time? Are they watching Facebook videos? Are they watching YouTube videos? Are they watching TikTok videos? Once you are able to figure out where your customers spend their social media hours, you are good to go. You are going to focus on only one of them. A lot of research has been done that you can consult. That will show you where each customer group is spending most of their time. For example, busy market women are almost always on TikTok in the evenings watching funny videos. Corporate bodies, former employees are busy on LinkedIn. That's where they go to share their achievements and so on. You can find them on different platforms. There are a whole body of research that you can get access to for free to tell you which age group, which demographic, which psychographics are spending what time on which platform. There are a whole lot of analytics available. If it turns out that you have conflicting social media platforms that your customers are spending time on, you can test different platforms to figure out where you can get your most customers. And you remember, when we say customers spending time on a certain social media, it could be the same customer, but when they are on social media, let's say TikTok, their attitude is completely different from when they are on social media B, which could be YouTube. This happens to me when I develop my education software and I was trying to find parents to test the market. I went to churches and I pitched to parents. They said, "Oh, can you go and see the Sunday school teachers?" No matter how hard I tried and explained, they didn't see it as something for their children's education, academic career. They thought it was something religious. Therefore, I have to go and see the Sunday school teachers who teaches their children on Sundays when they are in church. It's the same parents. I tried, didn't work. Then I changed and decided to, instead of going to churches where it was good for me to meet all the parents, because it was Sunday, almost in Ghana here, almost everybody was at church on Sunday. It turned out they get confused because they don't expect an educational material in a church. But when I met the same parents and their workplaces, they easily understood it quickly, and they didn't refer me to their Sunday school teachers. They analyze it and make the commitment right there by themselves. So the same customers can behave differently on a different platform. The platform to choose, therefore, depends on what product or service you are coming out with and the kind of customer you are trying to target. Sometimes the same customer is on TikTok, but because of the kind of product you are coming out with, because of the mindset that you need your customers to be in to be able to understand your product or your service, you better advertise on TikTok, for example, or Facebook, or TikTok, or Instagram, whatever. It all depends on the kind of product or service that you are coming up with and the kind of customer you are trying to target. Like I said, my educational software was for busy working parents whose children are not doing so well in school. The same parents go to work. But when I met them at church, they couldn't understand my product or my service, no matter how hard I tried. But when I met them at their workplaces, they easily understood the product and made commitment. So narrow down and find the social media that is best for you. And there are a whole lot of research online that can help you decide which social media to choose. I am going to show you what you do once you find your target customers. But in the meantime, what we are going to do is actually to test, to find out if the customer that we think has this problem indeed has this problem. So now that you have clearly defined your target customer, and then you've narrowed down on just one social media platform where you think you can find them behaving the best way possible to understand your product or your service, we are going to put up a small advertising campaign with just 50 Ghana cedis, about $5, or 100 Ghana cedis, which is about $10, to find out if indeed these customers have this problem, or at least if they see it as a problem. What we are going to do is to ask a question. You are not going to propose a solution. No. At this point, don't fall in love with any solution, any product, or any service. All you are going to do is you are just going to behave like a detective to find what problem they have. Imagine you want to solve educational problem. You can just put a simple message that, "Hey, parents out there, I'm coming up with a great educational product to help kids. So what problem do you face when it comes to your kids' education?" Just that. And then see how many people will actually see the advert. What percentage of those people will actually comment to tell you about the problem that they are facing. If you don't get any results, it doesn't mean this is a bad idea. It could be that the question is not clear enough for them to really understand what you want from them. So reframe the question. You can change the question. You can twist the question here and there until you start getting parents commenting. Oh, well, my child doesn't like learning at home. My child is not doing well in science whatsoever, and so on and so forth. Then after gathering the problem that most parents came out with, that's what you should solve. You shouldn't fall in love with your own product or service that you have in mind, but look at what parents were telling you when you post that advert. And the good thing about social media, unlike TV, radio, or billboard, is the results can take just about a day to get it. And when you get the results, you can quickly do your analysis and decide the next step forward. Unlike TV, that you may not even know whether there's any result at all, and when the result comes in, it doesn't come in with details about who responded. In this case, with social media, with just about 100 Ghana cedis or $10, you can get details about who responded, their psychographic, their demographics, and gradually, you'll be able to narrow down on what problem to solve for the customer. After getting the responses from the customers, which mostly is in the form of comments to the video or comments to the ad, gradually you look at the question that the majority are asking and that you can easily solve. Because if people have the problem but you cannot solve it for them, you don't have a business. You are looking at solving problems for other people and then they're giving you their money in return. Therefore, look for the problem that you can solve. The more number of people facing the problem, the better it will be for you when you start developing your product or your service. Because therefore it means the market is going to be huge. After aggregating all the problems and figuring out one problem that you can solve, the next thing is to actually propose a solution to that particular problem to see how many people will commit to just come up with one benefit, the greatest of all the benefits that you think your product can deliver. After getting the comments, the likes, you may be very happy, but comments and likes and shares are not the ones to pay the bills. And parents' attitudes or people's attitudes become very different when they are about to part with money. That's where you see their actual intentions. Therefore, the next step is to actually get them to commit. It could be pre-order, it could even be by joining a WhatsApp group, anything. If you are able to get them to commit, then you can confirm that this is just not a problem that they think is nice to solve, but they're actually looking for a solution. For example, hey parents out there, I am coming up with educational software that helps children to learn at home. If you want to be among the first set of customers, join the WhatsApp group. The link is below. And see how many people actually join the WhatsApp group. If we get significant number of customers joining the WhatsApp group, it means they are very committed and they are prepared to buy the product when it's completed. That is the only time, after getting enough, that's the only time you go ahead to develop the product or service. That's what I did. In fact, I got 2,000 parents to join the group before I even start building the product. That's what you should do. You have to start engaging the customers on whatever platform that you've gotten them to commit and develop the product with them along the way. If you see that once in a while some of the customers come back to the platform to ask, oh, when is this thing going to be ready? When is that thing going to be ready? Then you know the parents are actually dying to get the solution. These are good indicators that you are on to something great. Therefore, you should move ahead. Now you can start spending money to develop the product or service. And even when you start spending money, don't build a huge product. Concentrate on the benefit that you promised them and maybe a few others and nothing more. Concentrate on that benefit. You propose a benefit that got them to commit. So focus on that benefit and develop it. Of course, in future, you may add other features. But remember, customers don't care about features. They are only buying the product to solve a problem. So they care about the problem it is solving and the benefits that it's going to deliver to them, not the beautiful features that it has. So focus on that, the one that got them to commit. And if you don't get people to commit when you start running the advert, it doesn't mean the idea is bad. Probably they don't like that benefit. Therefore, change the benefit. Change the benefit. Keep changing the benefit until one of them gets people start committing. That's when you know you are onto something. If you don't take care and you fall in love with your product or your service, you may spend a lot of money, time, and effort to develop a product that nobody will be willing to buy. And the best way to do it is to actually gather a group of customers waiting for you, waiting to get your product before you even start doing the product. With social media now, it's very easy. It's as easy as spending few hundred cedis to do social media advert to first of all find where your customers are, what problem they are facing, and what feature or benefit will get them to commit. And once they get committed, keep them and interact with them and develop the product with them as you go along. This is the only way you can save yourself time and money and avoid the problem of solving a problem that nobody is looking for a solution to. If you have benefited from this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe to the show to be part of the Business Creators movement. If you are now starting your business, join the Business Creators WhatsApp group. The link is in the description below. and I'll see you on the other side of success. Bye bye.